Hi everybody, this is Tiger Lily. I just want to report the latest that my husband sent to me. He brought to my attention a news report about a scheme that was going on in King City, California.
Tonight we're hearing from people in one town who say they've known for years that many of their police officers were dirty cops.
It's here in King City because so many of its officers, including the acting police chief, have been arrested. They're accused of corruption. It's a small town where everybody knows everybody, and the Monterey County DA says those at the top knew exactly who they were after.
These are the people who are really disadvantaged. They're not always English speaking.
District Attorney Dean Filippo says poor Latinos were victims in a grand scheme to steal cars. These guys came up with the idea. The acting King City police chief, the ex-chief, and 2 officers. They're charged with bribery, accepting a bribe, or embezzlement. And here's how it worked.
People driving vehicles were being stopped. They had, in general, no license. And the vehicles were being impounded. The majority of those vehicles were being turned over to Miller Tow.
The owner of Miller's Towing, who was also charged, is the brother of acting chief Bruce Miller. The DA says Sergeant Bobby Carrillo sent more than 200 cars to the impound lot, knowing the victims couldn't afford the fees and towing charges. Officers would eventually sell the cars or keep them for themselves. Miller has already posted bail. He says he's always been on the right side of the law.
A little blown away.
This culture of corruption in the tight-knit community wasn't entirely new to residents.
Some people will even struggle, if there's a burglary or something, they will always say, oh, they're always here late and nobody's doing anything. So we were not really trusting our policemen.
The DA says that residents have complained about shady officers running this town for years, and that's why they looked into it. And after further investigation, they uncovered this massive scheme.
And by now, most people who have internet should know about this story, but you'll notice that it's deafening. The silence is deafening as far as mainstream media is concerned. And that is because mainstream media is very much in bed with government. And so they're not going to make as big a deal of this as they would if, remember that cop killer? Oh my gosh, the cops were even shooting bullets into the wrong car. They were so freaked out because basically cops are cowards. So I did a little quick Google search. It's being caught all over the place. I think the Boston Herald is talking about it. Of course, it's more concentrated locally. RT has done a little story on it. So the one that I'm going to discuss is on lawofficer.com, and it's an AP report titled California Officers Arrested in Car Theft Scheme. The officers have been placed on paid administrative leave. Okay, that's modus operandi, folks. That's because the unions are so strong. These cop unions, these public servants supposedly, have these very strong unions that help pick who our rulers are going to be, and they're very much insulated. So you basically have the ruling class in every country. More so in this country, you've got a big old strong ruling class supported by their killbots, and then you have us, the sheeple, the tax-paying sheeple.
Lawmakers representing the Central Coast are issuing statements on the case. State Senator Bill Monning of Carmel released this statement today, saying, quote, instead of protecting and serving King City residents, they, the police, violated the public's trust and preyed on some of the community's most vulnerable residents. And State Assembly member Luis Alejo, who represents Monterey and San Benito counties, had this to say, quote, in the coming weeks, I hope to see justice served both for the sake of families in our community and for the integrity of law enforcement everywhere.
Do Americans still believe that rulers give a damn?
The state's top cop, Attorney General Kamala Harris, also weighed in on the charges against the King City police officers today.
Well, I know that District Attorney Dean Filippo is dealing with the case, and I am fully confident in his ability to handle it appropriately. The reason why you're covering this story is because it is so very rare. That's why you're covering it.
Notice the arrogance of this top ruler. She's not stupid, but she assumes we're stupid, and that's why she talks down to us. To her, we're nothing but serfs.
Harris was in Monterey this afternoon to speak to the California Police Chiefs Association in their symposium. Many in attendance had heard about the arrest.
This district attorney from Monterey flipped. It also appears to me that some officers have dishonored their badge. All right, so let's just stop and think about these words here, that some officers have dishonored their badge. Okay, what does that mean? I mean, I can understand honoring your body, honoring your family, honoring your spouse, your loved ones, honoring humanity, honoring nature. What the fuck does it mean to honor a badge? So this is a terminology that we must get past, you guys, because this is what keeps us indoctrinated into this mindset that the badge has magical powers that must be honored, not just by the people carrying the badge, wearing the badge, but by we the sheeple. Well, I don't honor it one bit. I despise the profession. So I'll continue on the parts that I've highlighted. Early Tuesday morning, teams from the Monterey County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, the Salinas Police Department, and the District Attorney's Bureau of Investigation arrested the officers after a months-long investigation. It began as a response to complaints by residents of corruption and criminal acts within the department dating back at least 3.5 years, Flippo said. Now, I've been doing some studying on this, you guys, and there has been a chronic problem for years. And according to this report, the investigation started just a month ago. This is outrageous. There have been since subsequent reports that the investigations have been conducted 6 months, half a year ago. So, but even still, 3.5 years of complaints, and they're just now investigating. And who's investigating? The District Attorney's Bureau of Investigation. Big whoop. That's like asking your grandmother to investigate your dad. I mean, please, it's all the same thing. More than in this scheme, evidently more than 200 vehicles have been impounded, Flippo said, and 87% had been taken in by the same towing company. I would like to know the exact number, and I would like to know what the heck happened. In some cases, authorities said, officers simply kept the cars for their own use. So, it goes on and on to explain the details of this corrupt law enforcement agency, but there's corruption in every single solitary law enforcement agency. I in my opinion, based on it's an educated guess based on how closed they are. I mean, just call your local cop and ask them for anything. Ask them for something that's public record. Can I have a list of all of the people that you arrested yesterday? And watch and see how, even though you have the right to have that information, they're going to ask, well, why do you want it? Who are you? Were you a victim? Blah, 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 blah. They will put the hand out over and over and over. But there's ways of getting that information, but I'm at the point where I don't really give a damn what they're doing. I know they're corrupt, and in my own personal opinion, what I intend to do is simply to stay away from them as far away as I can. So the article continues. It says the windows were steamy at Bailey's gym where a handful of people were working out. Okay, now what the heck? This sounds more like a novel. Who the fuck gives a shit about whether the windows were steamy at Bailey's gym where a handful of people were working out? What the hell does that give to the report? I mean, AP, this is supposed to be like the worldwide respected thing. Oh my God, who cares? All right, so owner Greg Bailey, who also works as a correctional officer at a nearby prison, said he has known Miller for a long time and is skeptical about the charges. All right, so of course he's going to say that. It's all a great big legalized mafia. They're all in bed together, also with the media. So this crony, Greg Bailey, who's a correctional officer and the owner of Bailey's Gym, says, quote, when the finger gets pointed at you, you've got to dig your feet in and fight your way back, he said. Yeah, whatever. Bailey said it's not uncommon for, okay, now this is important, you guys. Bailey said that it's not uncommon for immigrants to drive without insurance, and if they are caught, their vehicles are impounded. All right, so just for not having insurance, driving a car without insurance, yeah, that's irresponsible, blah, blah, blah. But where was the harm? If they didn't kill somebody, or if they didn't injure property or something, where is the harm? So there's a law in the books, and these poor immigrants, they don't know their so-called rights. There's no such thing as rights, but they don't know what probable cause is, what reasonable suspicion is. I have a friend who has long hair. He looks like an Indian Apache warrior or an Aztec warrior, and he's Mexican American, and he's a he speaks English perfectly, and he told me this story that I totally believe, and it was several years ago in a rural town similar to King City. Maybe it was even in King City. And he said he makes a big deal of not violating law, not giving these thugs a reason to pull him over. So he crosses all his T's and dots all his I's and everything, and he told me that he was pulled over one time, and when he asked the cop, why did you pull me over, the cop told him, because I was bored. So this is the arrogance of these pigs who have this magical badge that they and we are supposed to be worshiping. Okay, so then he says, Bailey said it's not uncommon for immigrants to drive without insurance, and if they are caught, their vehicles are impounded. He said his own car was hit by someone driving without insurance. Oh, big fucking deal. So he should have had insurance. So this is classic reporting, blaming the victims. And it happens over and over, and I hope that what I'm doing, kind of when you read these stories and you listen to the words that are used by these reporters, that you kind of do a little critical thinking about what is the agenda. Bailey said he is concerned about the sudden, sharp reduction in police force.
But for officers on patrol,
nothing has changed.
He explains the city is being protected, as it always is.
We're here. Each and every shift is still staffed. This week in particular, we've really only lost one patrol officer. Our shifts are still the same. We're still working our 12-hour shifts.
Staffing levels are the same because 3 of the 4 patrol officers arrested were already on administrative leave.
So he's so concerned about the sharp reduction in the police force. What a bunch of shit. Quote, there was a safety issue prior to this happening, he said, noting gangs are active in town. Well, guess what? The biggest gang is those fucking pigs in costume. All right, so let me not get so worked up here. So then the AP went to talk to Hector and Laura Vasquez, who set down a heavy sofa they were carrying in the showroom of their Doors furniture store to chat about the arrests. Again, novel writing. What the fuck does that have to do with the story? Okay, speaking in Spanish. Now, how is that relevant? Well, it can be relevant in 2 ways, because they're reporting about what Laura Vasquez said. Now, Laura Vasquez is the wife of Hector Vasquez, who is the owner of a furniture store. So Laura Vasquez, is speaking in Spanish, said that it didn't seem right that the officers were bailed out so quickly after her husband described what had happened. This article doesn't describe what actually happened to Hector, but they're reporting what the wife said. Quote, she said, they're supposed to be keeping us safe, but they're the ones who are breaking the law, she said. Now, they do report that Hector Vasquez said that there's frequent talk in the U.S. of how corrupt Mexican law enforcement agents are. So that's a little awkward, he said.
Yeah, I just want to say that what you see in the media is mostly all propaganda, and they try to make Mexico look as dangerous as possible. It's actually safer. There's a ton of stats. It's safer for an American to be in Mexico than to be in the U.S. The amount of Americans who get murdered here is far lower than the murder rate in the U.S. They try to make it look dangerous because they don't want people to know that they're so close to a place that's a lot more free. The people down here, almost everyone's an anarchist. They don't know what the word exactly means, but if you ask them about the government, they'll just go, we hate those guys. About 2 months ago, we had some floods here in Acapulco, and the president of Mexico came, and he was booed out of town. They were throwing things at him. They're just like, get out of here. And even about 2 years ago, because they'd never let the federal government come down here. Down here in Acapulco is a state called Guerrero, which actually means warrior. And they still have that kind of Aztec warrior mentality. And they would never let the federal government even come here. And the federal government said, we have to find out what's going on in Acapulco. So they came in with all their big guns and all that, and they went to the Acapulco jail. And they found inside drugs, alcohol, hookers, fighting cocks. They even found a peacock. People down here, it's much different. And the mentality that the whole world is under the thumb of the U.S. government, I can tell you that the Mexican government can't even come into here without having problems. The U.S. government, they'd be dead so quick. Another lie about Mexico is that no one has guns. Everyone has guns. They're not allowed to have guns, but they don't care. And just recently, in one town in this state, a bunch of people took up guns and they ran the police and the government out of town. And this happens all the time. And so what you see on the American news is, and what they'll do too, if the police aggress against someone here, half the town will go down there and kill them all, chop their heads off, and light the police station on fire. And then in the U.S., the news will lead off, chaos in Mexico, it's anarchy, they're killing cops, and they just killed the mayor in this one town. It's like, good. That's right.
But didn't you just get done telling me that we can't resort to force, and now you're cheering on these guys who went and beheaded the fucking mayor and stormed the police department with guns?
I think Jeff was talking about resorting to force here in the United States.
Yeah, try that in the U.S. and you're dead in about 1 second, right?
I'm with you, Jeff.
Yeah, the point is that, like in a lot of other places, the people still have the power over the government and the police. In the U.S., you know exactly what happened to Adam Kokesh, of course. After I told my story, a few people commented, and they said, I'll never go to St. Kitts. I can't believe that they would plant drugs on someone and accuse them of a crime. And I was like, they did, and I escaped from jail, and they apologized on that. Like Adam Kokesh had drugs planted in his house. He had a SWAT team, tanks rolled up. He was in solitary in a small cold room, just like the room I was in, but for weeks. That's torture. So yeah, definitely in the U.S. it's too far gone now to fight it in that way. We have to fight it through ideas, or just let the whole thing collapse, because it's going to collapse all on its own anyway. The U.S. government has unbelievable amount of debt. It's unpayable. The U.S. dollar is going to collapse in the next few years. The U.S. military will probably be almost gone in the next 5 or 10 years. So it'll all collapse on its own anyway. So
King City manager Michael Powers told the AP that Monterey County Sheriff's deputies and officers from nearby cities of Gonzales and Soledad have volunteered to help police the city now that so many of its officers have taken off duty. So many of its officers, it's only one, you guys, on the front lines. So now they're using this as an excuse. Volunteered. I have problems with this word, because what do you want to bet that they're not volunteering to help? They're going to get paid overtime to help. This is an opportunity. So obviously people are in shock, and so is the city staff, Power says, but at the same time, we can't tolerate corruption in the police department. Like hell you can't. You have been for at least 3.5 years, and probably since the beginning of time. So here's a little bandit of 6 that I thought I'd show you. And I want to give a lot of credit to Amy Larson from KSBW.com. She's an editor, and she's done some really awesome reporting. Here's the first mugshot of this pig. His name is Jaime Andrade, and he's the King City police officer. Take a look at that little bastard. The next one here is King City police officer Mario Muto Sr. Another little bastard, red eyes. Yep, probably a little stressed out because the tables have turned on you. How about that, motherfucker? And she lists all of the charges that they got charged. Here's another one. Former King City Police Chief Nick Baldivias.
As Police Chief Nick Baldivias announced that he will not be back. Action News reporter Felix Cortez has details.
Wire, and I think the mayor put it best, and he said that this department, the department can now move forward without the question lingering over it as to whether or not Chief Baldivias would ever come back.
I did the best I could with what I was provided.
After 24 years with the King City Police Department, the last 9 as its police chief, Nick Baldivias is calling it quits.
You get somebody in there that's fresh, has new ideas, has new leadership styles, and just has a new concept of how to run the police department. And the bottom line is I just felt that I had not outlived my time, but my time was up. It was time for me to move on.
The chief's decision ends months of speculation over his health and his ability to lead the department. Baldivias admitted he has health issues he's trying to correct, but many have questioned whether he would ever come back. He's been gone the last 5 months, using vacation time, according to the chief. The chief says he's leaving the force in better shape than when he took it over 9 years ago, despite tough economic times.
We were able to hire new officers, all paid for by grants. We were able to buy new police cars, all paid for by grants. We were able to buy new weapons for our armory, all paid for by grants. We were able to get a new records management system, all paid for through grants. New computer systems in and inside the cars and inside the police department, all paid for with grants. I had my ups, I had my downs, you know, but the ups far outweighed the downs.
Pig, 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 pig. There he is. This one looks weird as hell. King City Police Sergeant Mark Baker's mugshot. Look at that. Not so fun when the tables are turned, huh? This one here, mugshot, King City Police Sergeant Bobby Carrillo's mugshot. Look at that. Just utterly disgusting, folks. Monterey Sheriff Scott Miller said, even though half the police force is on administrative leaves, residents have no reason to fear that the law will not be enforced in their city. To me, when I hear that, that's the sheriff saying, don't worry, half of our pigs are put away, but you're still going to get fucked. That's really what he's saying.